Hi, Monica.
Hi, Odile.
How are you doing today?
Today fine, thank you. From yesterday, I did this, what you have said, and it was a very nice experience to allow myself to feel good.
Good. Very good. Well
Yes,
done for
yes,
doing it.
yes,
Good
yes.
job.
And then I have another spot to look at. Um, and this is about the money.
Hmm.
Um, when I look around in my family, they are really all rich people.
Okay.
And my first husband, he had money more than enough. My second husband had money more than enough. And an aunt from me, she said, don't get divorced. You are safe because of the money in this marriage.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't do it because of the money.
Yes.
And today I think to this, and it makes me sad because today I don't have very much money, and soon, perhaps a few years, then I have no more money. I
Hmm.
have to go back to the state and to beg that they give me money. And when I was younger, I went and cleaned houses. I know,
Hmm.
like you did.
Yes.
But now I'm 67 and it's no more possible for me to do this. And so I look into the future with fear.
Hmm.
Yes,
I
yes.
understand that completely. Okay, very good, Monica. Thank you for sharing this because, again, this will resonate with so many others as well. So, and I know I have covered this topic in at different times in bits and pieces, but I want to just give another overview. And so the first thing I want to answer or address is for the conscious mind, and this is for everybody, that there is always a way to bring in more money yourself where you don't have to rely on someone else, even if you can't see it from where you are right now. So, especially today, in this day and age with the internet, there are just endless possibilities. But with the old programming, either we don't want to do it, or we're frightened to do it, or we think we can't do it, or it feels like it doesn't feel so nice. There's all kinds of
Mm,
reasons for not
mm,
doing it, and that's the subconscious trying to keep us the same. So we address the programming first and change that, and then, but the reason I say first of all that there are lots of different ways is just so that you know that once you change the programming, there will be endless opportunities. All
mhm,
right, that you can't see from where you are now because of the programming. So there are people in different countries. There are very young people, very old people. There are people with disabilities. There are people that can't see, can't hear. There are all kinds of people making good money, doing things that they enjoy or they love and that kind of thing that you wouldn't expect. You'd think, oh, I don't know how that person could do it, but they found a way. And YouTube alone is full of them. It's just in all types and ages and nationalities, and from different backgrounds. All right. So and there are a lot of ways to make money without having money in the first place. Okay, so let's look at the programming now so that we can clear it so that you're able to. All right, so the first thing is, how does it feel to be in this position? So you say you've got the fear, and what's the worst thing? So let's go to worst case scenario. So the worst thing that can happen, the thing you're most worried about.
to go back to this state,
Yes.
and they control the money. which I have and which they give me, and so yes.
Okay, very good. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with them controlling the money that they give you?
No, like no freedom, like there is no freedom. Yes.
Good job. Very, very good. So that feeling of not having freedom, that I've got no freedom, somebody else is controlling, where in your childhood did you feel that feeling? And it may have nothing to do with money. So it'll be that same feeling of somebody else is controlling my experience and I don't have the freedom to create the experience or get what I want or need.
The only thing now came up is when I was 25 and I got married. Yes, and until this time I lived together with my grandmother.
Yes.
She was old and ill, and I had to decide: stay I with her, or do I go with my husband into another town where he had his work?
Yes.
And I was pregnant, and so I decided to go with my husband.
Yes.
And I left my grandmother behind. And I regret this very much, yes.
Okay, so that's definitely a reference there. And
Yes.
so now, of course, because we can't experience anything that we don't have an earlier reference for, let's go earlier. So you left your grandmother behind. How did that feel? You regretted it, but what was wrong with leaving her behind? What was the worst thing about it?
I think guilt.
Guilt?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And so that feeling of guilt, so you left your grandmother behind, you had that guilt. Where in your childhood did you feel the same kind of guilt? And it may be nothing to do with leaving people behind or anything like that. It'll just be the same feeling inside you.
Perhaps when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I visited my mother, and my grandmother was there to take me with her again at home to her home, and I wanted to stay with my mother, but I couldn't. I had to go with my grandparents.
Yes.
So yes.
And so what happened? How did that play out? Did you tell them you wanted to stay with your mother?
No. I was so little. I only remember my grandmother asked my mother if she wants me to stay with her. And my mother was laughing and said, oh no, you can take her with you.
Wow. And how did that feel?
I don't know. There I get no feeling.
No feeling there. Okay. And so what's your earliest memory of finding out that you were with your grandparents instead of your mum? Any early memories?
It was difficult for me to feel belonging to someone. So also in my marriages, there was always the feeling I don't belong to them, and I have to go. Like I have to go, and at one point I did it, and yes.
Okay, and so living with your grandparents, what was that like?
They were really very nice. Really, yes.
And how about your mum? Visiting your mum, what was your mum like with you?
She was also, I remember her as a kind and warm person. And sometimes she has her times out when she beated me and my sister.
Okay.
not often, but it happened, yes. But I wasn't, I loved her.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Good.
yes.
And what was the reason that you couldn't live with her and you lived with your grandparents?
My mother's, at first, when I was born, my mother visited her, my grandparents, and then I came. And at this time she was working, and it was not so good with my father. And she had my sister, and she gave my sister away, my older sister. My sister lived 3 years in another family. But she chose this family. It was a good family, but I don't know. She always told she had to work.
She had to work.
So yes, and when she gave birth to me, then she left me in this children's hospital. And when I was 7 months old, my grandparents took me out. And
Wow. Okay.
yes.
So all of that is going to be a really is going to have a big impact. And so it's so funny because I'm recognizing quite a few things in my own life, because my mum lived in a different town and had to work. Same thing. We were raised by my grandparents because of that. So I know that. So here's the thing: is that the conscious mind understands. So we have to, and especially if your grandparents were nice to you, that's fantastic. And so consciously, you will absolutely understand. My mum had to work, and I lived with my grandparents, and they were nice, so that's all fine. However, to the subconscious, it's going to mean something that your mother didn't have you with her, and especially if you've got a memory of that where your grandparents, your grandmother said, "Do you want her to stay here?" And she said, "No, take her," especially if she laughed and that. So that's going to have an impact. So I would definitely change that. Now, how much freedom did you have as a child?
Very much. Very much.
No freedom?
Yes. We lived on the country until I was 7 years old, and I could walk where I wanted. And yes.
Nice. And so that must have been lovely.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what was the worst thing from your childhood? The worst thing about your childhood?
Oh, an uncle from me, yes.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Okay. And so that uncle, whatever that experience was, any feelings of not having control?
Yes, yes. He always wanted to control me.
Yes. Okay. And so if money was a person, who would it be?
Yes, he.
Would be him.
Yes, yeah, him,
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Have you changed those memories of him? So when you think of him now, what's there?
It's very much better. I have changed really the worst things I have changed when I was older and he had beaten me and such things. But when I was little, no, there I didn't change.
Okay, so I would start there definitely, because if money it represents him,
yes,
then you want to change the earliest memories of that, because right now everything to do with money is keeping you in alignment with those early memories of him.
Yes.
Do you see that? So if you were to have plenty of money, you wouldn't get to live, you wouldn't get to repeat that pattern, and it wouldn't be in alignment with those childhood references, those childhood memories. See how that works?
Yes.
So an example is, for me, money represented my father, because my father left when I was very young, 3 years old or so, and we were told he was coming back, and he never did. And money was always supposed to be coming in, and it never did. So it was the same feeling. So this is so powerful for everybody, because, you know, a lot of people have money issues, different types of money issues. And when they look in their childhood for the references, very often they're looking for references to do with money. And you do want to change those, but very, very often, and I would even say most of the time, the references have nothing to do with money. They have to do with relationships and experiences with people. or
yes.
events. So this is brilliant. So what you want to do is you want to change your uncle to the same feeling that you want to have with money, right? So that feeling of I'm free, I'm allowed to do what I want, I'm allowed to have what I want, I've got more than enough. You want to make sure that your early memories, and start from the earliest ones first if you can to come forward, the early memories, and then all of the memories with your uncle is that same feeling of I have plenty of freedom. I have plenty of affection, understanding, encouragement, acknowledgement, respect, all of those things, so that it creates the same feeling and safety. That's a big one, where I feel safe. He's looking after me, he's protecting me, because that will also come in with the money. Like you were saying, there's that fear of being reliant on the state. This way, I feel safe because I have plenty of money. Do you see how those two things link there?
Yes, yes. It's. I think about he wanted to control me, and then I wanted in some way to control him. So I had a certain behavior.
Yes.
So that he didn't beat me, and yes, he controlled me, and I wanted to control him in a certain way.
Of course.
Yes, and this is with the money. I get money, yes, and it's like I have to spend it, yes,
Yes.
so
Yes.
that I have nothing in the end.
That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And
Really,
as much as you consciously want to change that, your
yes,
subconscious won't let you change it,
yes,
because it's keeping you so-called safe by keeping you the same in alignment with what you had as a child, the experiences you had as a child. So keeping that feeling of control, I need to control, but I can't control, and they control me, and that will have played out in your marriages as well.
yes, yes.
So that's perfect. So the great news, the exciting news, is that you can change it through changing that. So make sure, so the end result you're aiming for is that your uncle was absolutely devoted to you. He loved you, he was kind and compassionate, and you had, you were the most important thing in his life. All right. And he was very passionate about children having freedom and children being able to have a voice. You can create new memories, and this goes for everybody. If these are good memories for everybody to create in your childhood, where the adults are asking you, "What do you think? I want to hear what do you think we should do?" So they allow you to make decisions. And of course, because it's all in your own imagination, you can be as wild as you like. You can decide which house to buy or whatever, it can be whatever you like, and create ones that create that lovely feeling. So, if it's something like, well, sweetie, what do you feel? Where do you think we should go on vacation this time? Or, what do you want? So everything is about, you are like the queen of everything. How does that sound?
Yes, very nice.
Very good. So now that's what you're aiming for. So now you check, when you try and create that, what happens? So then you notice, can I do that? Can I imagine him being like that? And can I imagine my life being like that? And if you can't, that's okay. Then you just notice, what happens when I try to do that? What happens when I try to make create those new memories, or imagine that person in that way? Is it that they are too angry? Is it that they say something, or does it feel uncomfortable? What happens there? And that's how you then find the other references and change them. Of course, always reminding yourself that person doesn't even know you're doing this. That person is not in your mind, not in your head, and All that's happening in your head is neurons are firing in specific patterns, and you get to decide which patterns to fire those in. Sound good?
Yes, yes, really, very good.
Good. Any questions, or do you need any other suggestions or clarification?
No, thank you. Not in the moment, Odile.
All right, very good.
I have to let it pass again.
So, yes, and you can watch this recording again, follow along, and then come, let us know when you come back, if you get stuck anywhere or you need some extra help or suggestions. And for others as well, if you get stuck where you think, I just can't seem to get this person to do this or whatever, you may need a due justice. So if that's the case, then just do a due justice letter to that person or whoever the people are, and then have another go. And of course, you can use the allowing technique as well.
Odile, where do I find
the due justice?
No, the recording.
Oh, the recording. Yes. Let me grab the link right now, and Steve will also put it in the description of this video for those who are on here. So for those who are watching the recording, but here, Monica, is the link to the page that has all of the recordings on it.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
All right. And for everybody else as well, it's on our website. So if you go to our website, which is theremmertmethod.com, and then you'll see a link that says emotional fitness resources. And then you can just click on that tab as well. So, but there's the direct link. All right.
Thank you very much, Odile.
You're very welcome, Monica. I'm so excited for you. Good job, you. And thank you for sharing.